You're in a panel talking about international investment opportunities for deal makers. So what are some of your top tips for deal makers?
These days, especially in light of the Vodafone decision in India that occurred last year, where the Indian government tried to assess, I think it was $2.5 billion against Vodafone on when they acquired Hutchison Whampoa's Indian operations, that's a big issue. I mean, companies have to be able to try to plan and create a tax-efficient way, once money goes into the country, how to get the money out in an efficient manner. Luckily, the Supreme Court in India held that the Indian government did not have authority to have that tax, so that was a great victory for many taxpayers. So we do see, how do you plan, how do you structure an arrangement when you're going to make an acquisition of an entity. You want to make sure you have a holding company in an appropriate jurisdiction. You want to make sure that the money is not going to be trapped in the local country, and you want to be able to get the money out in a tax-efficient manner so your shareholders can derive dividends and profits from it.
What tax issues do deal makers need to be concerned about when it comes to cross-border deals?
On the legislative and tax front, you have to be aware of transfer pricing. That's where you have related parties on the international side that have intercompany type of arrangements and agreements, where the most famous case is Google, where it was reported, I guess last year, that they have an effective tax rate of 3%. And the way they did that effective tax rate is by having holding companies in appropriate jurisdictions and proactively using transfer pricing to minimize local country tax expense. Again, more and more countries are starved for revenue. So they are looking at transfer pricing legislation, and they're looking to see how they can minimize or maximize to the greatest extent possible their revenues.